What's going on, motivators? We got another video. Want to talk about Virginia Democrat Abigail Spanberger, the governor, who ran as a moderate but is a far leftist. Let's get into this.
And we're going to head to the poll.
I think that it becomes a question of whether or not someone is committed to doing their job. It's essential for them to prioritize all of the communities, and it's essential for voters to demand that, not just when they're elected, but along the campaign trail as well.
Governor Spanberger.
America, the Democrats are playing a very, very dirty game. They're the ones who are calling that when Texas went in and redrew their map to kind of balance it back out, they call foul. If you go to many Democrat maps, they cannot even rig it anymore, right? It's so one-sided that it's a 10-1. Some of them, it's 10-0. There's 0 Republicans representative in the state. Make those things make sense, that you have a whole state and you have one Republican representing for the entire county. Some areas are not even in the same county and they're supposed to be representing the constituents. Democrats are foul, but what they don't understand is the Republican states have not even been redistricted into this manner of what Democrats are doing. So just put this in an instance. If they went in and they do this for real and it really did pass, it would be a 9-1. But you still have Florida, you still have Texas, all of those states who have not gone as far as Democrats have gone. If they tilt the balance of power to 10-1 too, Democrats will never win an election again, neither.
Spanberger says Congress would be alone.
It raises concerns about fairness and political power. Jordy Clark has both sides.
But we know Democrats are never fair. When have they ever been fair in anything?
A major decision on how Virginia's political maps are drawn is now in the hands of voters, and both sides are making very different arguments about what's at stake.
A Democratic-led virtual press conference Friday framed the vote as a response to what they describe as coordinated efforts in other states to reshape congressional power.
This referendum campaign is high stakes. It is an effort to stand up against a tyrannical effort to use mid-decade redistricting in other states to essentially allow Donald Trump to steal power.
Like Senator Tim Kaine, other lawmakers are backing the referendum, pointing to states including North Carolina and Texas as part of what they describe as a broader national trend influencing congressional control.
And this is what I dislike and hate about Democrats. They're never telling the constituents the full truth. Yes, you had some Republican states who went and did redistricting, right? But it's nothing compared to what the Democrats had done prior. Like I mentioned, Massachusetts has 9 seats in the House of Representatives. All 9 are Democrats and 2 Republicans in the Senate. Both are Democrats. The entire state have no representation for Republicans. This entire thing is all blue. No representation of Republican. There are Republicans in the state, as you can see, but no representation.
Virginia voters now have a direct role in responding.
Unlike Texas and Missouri, California and now Virginia are leaving it to the voters to decide. We are leaving it to the voters to decide.
Supporters like Lieutenant Governor Gonzalez.
They're not leaving it to the voters. These people, they're so disingenuous. They're going against their own state constitution to do this. Their own rules in their own state to do this. Gavin Newsom had to amend some kind of rules that we had over in California to make the rigging happen that he just did. Proposition 50. It's all rigging the game. They say they're going to be up to the voters, but who knows? And with all the fraud we have in California, there are many of votes that was improper from what Bianco is saying. So there might be some facts that this whole thing has been rigged too.
Hashmi say the referendum is about giving voters control, while critics argue the maps could have longer-term political and representation impacts. However, opponents of the redistricting efforts say the process raises concerns about fairness, representation, and whether the changes could dilute voter influence in certain communities.
Like I mentioned before, Democrat does not care about fairness. All they care about is being in power. They will do anything to be in power. I mean, most politicians do. I mean, Republicans also. But Democrats are very bad at it. They will change any rule when they're not in power to fit their agenda. When they're in power, like it never happened. Remember, Democrats was in power during Joe Biden's term. No rules to go ahead and amend the border. The border is closed. The border is closed. 2 to 20 million people came in, right? The minute Republicans came into power, what did they say? Let's try to pass a bill because the border have not been closed. Because it's going to fit their agenda. It's always an agenda based with Democrats. They're pulling the wool over your eyes. A lot of people are waking up. Some are still sleeping. This right here is going against the people.
That argument is a central theme in a separate press conference held by Republican Congresswoman Jen Kiggans before she headed inside to vote no.
People in Virginia, people here in the Commonwealth deserve representation that reflects their values, that reflects their political ideologies and priorities. And having 92% of our Commonwealth represented by one party certainly does not do that.
Local leaders like Virginia Beach Mayor Bobby Dyer agree, saying what Virginia has now already works.
Why are we going to allow the culture of arrogance that comes out of Richmond to overturn the will of the people of a very important system that has been working and fair for 5 years?
Kiggans and other...
Like I said, it was working and fair for 5 years. But Democrats, they just want power and they will switch everything just for power. And I know someone in the comment might say, well, Republicans have done it too. Republicans are just doing this because Democrats have been cheating forever. I just told you, Massachusetts have 0 representation. 0. And now Democrat was 6-5, and they're trying to make it 10-1. Make those things make sense. But again, if Republicans start playing the dirty game that Democrats are playing, we have barely touched the redistricting of many red states because it's balanced right now. Majority of Democrat states, especially California, there is no more Reagan. There is 52 seats in the House of Representatives. Only 10 is Republican in California. 52. And they just voted to take another 5. So that means that is ridiculous, right? So there will be nowhere to rig anymore. They have rigged completely. Eventually, there will be no space. You cannot rig anything because you've rigged it too much. But now, if the Republicans flip that, Democrat will never win another election because Republicans still have space to do the same thing as far as redistricting that Democrats are doing.
Leaders who spoke at the conference pointed to Virginia already being a purple state, and the idea of changing that gives the other side an unfair advantage.
Yeah, this is a big statement in both fairness and a blatant power grab by the progressive left. The Virginia electorate 6 years ago came out and voted overwhelmingly for a nonpartisan independent redistricting committee that drew the current maps, and they have been deemed the fairest maps in America. I don't love them. I mean, listen, it's 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans, but they are fair. And now Abigail Spanberger, the first piece of legislation that she signed into office when she was in office was to initiate this blatant power grab to redistrict and gerrymander Virginia. And in fact, the Washington Post called this the most brazenly dishonest yes campaign ever. And they even endorsed the no vote, the Washington Post. And
pulled the wool over the Virginians' eyes. She campaigned as a moderate, and the minute she got into power, she went completely berserk, leftist. How many times are they going to keep fooling Democrats? But again, they have to suffer the consequences in what they keep picking. They keep voting for those people over and over and over again, despite all the news that come and shows the opposite. When they get in power, they show their true colors. And Republicans, the ones who are there, unfortunately, have to suffer from the mistakes of the Democrats and some independents
that have tried to disenfranchise millions of Virginians. They're trying to literally take away the voices of rural Virginians. 56 counties are no longer going to have a voice in Congress. They're taking a seat in Hampton Roads, Virginia, where I'm from, and they're going to give it to Northern Virginia. If the Yes campaign's successful, you're going to have 5 congressmen that literally live within a 15-mile radius of each other in Northern Virginia.
These people are getting exactly what they asked for. Side note, we have New York with Mamdani. Buyer's remorse, voters' remorse. Eventually, they're going to learn. Or probably not. They still haven't learned because they kept doing the same thing over and over again. So let me know what you think inside the comments. All right, motivators. If you enjoy what you've seen and heard, please like, comment, share, but most importantly, subscribe to A Black Veteran's Perspective. Stay motivated.